Hello everyone, I'm Simone, tech specialist at Kiloview. In today's webinar, we're gonna take a look on our new P series with a P3 and P3 Mini. We're gonna have a deep dive through our KiloLink Server Pro, Kiloview Intercom server, and I will show you how to deploy the containers, how to manage all the devices, and how to use them in the best way possible. I prepared a small PowerPoint deck for you to introduce the first noticeable features of our product. So no further hesitation, and let's start the webinar right now. Okay, first of all, as I mentioned, we are talking about P3 and P3 Mini, our new flagship encoders with bonding technology. So for the P3, as a first start, we have 4G and 5G modular modems up to 4 different cards, Ethernet Wi-Fi with a redundant battery for long-lasting streaming session, and 4.3-inch screen with touch controls. As a main features, as I said, as a modular design over time, so you can swap the cards whenever your working business challenges will deploy, and we have 5G coverage, so even in the most challenging situation we can arrange the best quality and best network strength possible. We have 4K 30p over HDMI input and 1080p 60 over SDI. It will support H.264 and H.265 at the same time. What's the target for the P3? Yeah, for sure is a big mid TV and radio broadcasting, and also OB-WAN solution for big productions. Also remote ENG styles for events, especially when 5G is a necessity, and for sure is a great companion for high numbers, multi-camera production and remote production in general. For the P3 Mini instead, we got 3 internal 4G modems, Ethernet and Wi-Fi connectivity. We got both the 12 volts PSU brick plus a USB-C power delivery, so we can charge this device also with power banks. And we got 3-inch screen with touch control. This is for sure super small and easy to carry. It's a 4G connectivity only, and 1080p 60 over HDMI and SDI. But as this companion P3 can work also within H.264 or H.265. This is of course will suit other kind of needs, so small TV and radio, hours of worship, and basically connectivity on the go for media streaming, also remote ENG for news gathering, and smaller remote productions, and of course media streaming with high quality. So the general rule of thumb to decide what's your best companion for your business might be, for the smaller equipment, you can go with a P3 Mini if you don't need 5G and if you don't need long-lasting streaming. And of course, if you want to keep your cost of 4G data plans really low. Instead, for 5G, essential requirements for really low cellular network coverage and long-lasting streaming, and also 4K up to 30p P3 is of course your best companion. Everything is running through our patented software KiloLink Server Pro, which is our bonding and management software. It is running on a multi-platform based on Docker containers, so this can be installed into OS X, Linux, or Windows, depending on your needs. And as I said, it's super easy to deploy, and we have a look on that really soon. It's a multi-platform. It can be installed on cloud or on-prem. It can manage multi-format conversions such as SRT, RTMP, RTSP, and so on. But it's the first and only NDI HX transcoding server for IP-only workflow, and we're gonna take a look on that really soon. It's a remote control for any Kiloview products and multi-access user and user group to handle different devices from different parts of the world. This is some super simple example on the workflow you might have, camera connected to the bonding encoder, 4G, 5G connectivity, and with the internet connectivity to the cloud KiloLink server, where you can go directly over live streaming with RTMP, for example, or transcode that signal back to baseband with our Kiloview decoder series. Another example might be with an on-premise workflow. So basically you install your KiloLink server directly into one of your machine with capture card, and you can still decode with our decoder series or go stream directly through your favorite platforms. Again, another kind of hybrid workflow could be having the on-prem server and decode everything to baseband, but still using a baseband mixer. Lots of people might still love to use baseband mixer nowadays, so this is another option you can evaluate until your business wants this. And the last workflow I put on is a IP solution only. So basically, as I've mentioned before, we can have NDI HX transcoding directly with a KiloLink Server Pro. So we can use the technology based on NDI HX to do everything IP over IP. We also have our Kiloview Intercom Server Pro, which allows you to have COM party lines in between different Kiloview devices. As the KiloLink Server Pro, it's really easy to install. It's based on a Docker container, and the only requirement you need is a USB headset to create multi-party group line and have access to a super intercom, which is really easy to use, especially with all Kiloview products. We have various application scenarios like sports, house of worships, concert, healthcare, enterprise, and esport. Basically, we can cover lots of different scenarios depending on your business necessities. So at last, I will say what approach to Kiloview. Well, Kiloview products basically handle lots of products design like encoders, decoders, transcoders, and we are pretty much agnostic in the brand manufacturer, so you can mix and match whatever you want until the other brand manufacturers support the same codec. And of course, all our software are based on one-time payment only, so non-monthly fee subscription or high cost management through time. Our KiloLink Server Pro comes completely free of charge. And as I've mentioned before, no limitation in terms of cloud or on-premise workflow. We are definitely expertise into NDI technology and every audio-video over IP transcoding standard. And we have a variety of both hardware and software to create a big and huge ecosystem to achieve all your business goal. So I want now to basically show you how to install KiloLink Server Pro. We're gonna have a super short tutorial on how to install this on the cloud first, and then I'm gonna show you the on-premise workflow, and I'm gonna show you also the NDI HX and all the other protocols we can use. So let me show you the browser now. As you can see here, we got some tabs open. I got P3 Mini, P3, my on-premise, KiloLink Server Pro, and some other stuff we're gonna see later. Let me open the terminal so I can show you actually how to install KiloLink Server Pro. It doesn't require any IT super technology. It's really simple, so bear with me. I will try to be the most specific possible and really easy to follow. So first of all, what we have to do, pretending you got a server in the cloud, you have to access this over SSH, which is really simple. You basically type in SSH, you have your user at your IP address. So this is the syntax, is really simple. So I'm gonna use this one to connect to my remote server. So here you go. We insert the password, and there you go. I'm logging in SSH in my server right now. In order to install KiloLink Server Pro, I'm gonna have our commands sudo su to get root privileges. Once we're in, we can basically start installing the server. I skipped the part where we install Docker containers and the Docker engine. You can follow all our guide in our download section, of course. So I have here the script you can download from the Kiloview site. So let me show you this. It's really simple, and I'm gonna show you it will take really almost no time to install it. Just copy this single link and paste it on the terminal and press enter. So you can easily press Q in this license agreement, and after that you just simply press Y. And as you can see, it will start downloading all the contents needed to install KiloLink Server. I basically want to show you this in order to connect for the first time our P3 into our server, and then I show you everything through the on-premise workflow. You see, this is really simple. All the other passage you have to do is just press enter in here, press enter again, and now it will ask for the web ports. The default is 80. If you want to change it, you can still change it, but for this time we'll leave it as default. And the link port for the bonding is 50,000. So I press enter again. Now we will ask for the IP address of my server. So I'm gonna type in the IP address. And just a second, because I forgot it right away. Yes. So there you go. Press enter. And then we're done. So in order to be sure we have deployed our server, just type docker ps, and you can tell we have our server is actually being deployed. So now we can go into the browser and see how it looks. So here we are. As you can see, this is the IP address we have chosen, and we have the KiloLink Server Pro. So basically, we gonna put admin as a username and Kiloview with a capital K001 for first password. It will ask to change the password for the first time. And we're gonna insert a new password for our server. And press OK. There it is, so simple. So basically we have deployed the server right now. We want to connect for the first time our P3, for example. Let's go back of the P3 web UI. Okay, you see this is the main UI of the encoder. On the bottom left side, you will see there's the bonding where we decide what connection to use in order to basically connect this into our server. And there's a small cogwheel here. So in here you see the IP address, the service port, and the authorization code. In order to register this into our new KiloLink server, we're gonna click on the I on top right and copy the serial number first. Go back into the KiloLink page, and under device management, we're gonna click maintenance mode and add device. All right, here for the alias, I just call it P3. I paste the serial number we have copied before and click onto generate. All right, we have a small copy button here. We can click it. And as you can notice, I got the encoder basically ready to be connected to our KiloLink Server Pro. Come back on the P3 now, and on the bonding configuration, let's put all the information we need. So we left the service port as 50,000, and we put the authorization code we have just copied from the KiloLink Server Pro, and press OK. Once we are ready, we basically need to activate the bonding tab. Okay, so if I click bonding, and I come back to the KiloLink Server Pro, here you go. You see, we are online. We successfully connected the P3 for the first time to the bonding server. Okay, we can ask the maintenance mode, and from now on, we can control the encoder completely from the cloud server. Okay, so from this time, I can just click on it and have everything, like previewing the image, the device status, and the configuration. And if I want to access this completely remotely, on the right side of the screen, you're gonna click in here, and you will notice I can control the device completely from the cloud. So I'm not using the internal LAN, but I'm using my Ethernet connection plus my SIM cards, and I can control everything remotely. So if we give this within, for example, a camera operator, it doesn't have to know anything about that. It just have to turn it on the device and it will work. But before we skip to the on-premise workflow, and I will show you all the different things you can do with a P3 and P3 Mini, I also want to show you how to completely remove the server from your instance, your cloud instance. So let's back on the terminal, and I will show you how to complete uninstall the Docker container, just in case you have some troubles with that. Okay, so first, let's go back in the P3. Let's disconnect this from the server and open again our terminal. So yeah, here we go. If we type docker ps again, you will see the Docker container is running at the moment. We want to delete it because for some reason we have done some bad problems. We got some IT stacks and stuff like that. I want to rebuild the container all over again. So first command you have to go with is docker kill, and we're gonna copy the container ID, which is this number here. And we're gonna paste it after the kill, leave it a space, and press enter. In this moment, we have basically killed the container, but the container is still present in our machine. In fact, if we type down docker ps-a, we can see the container is still there, but we want to completely remove it, okay? So we type in docker container prune -f. In this moment, if we press enter, we're gonna completely delete the container from our machine. And we can check it out again with a docker ps-a. There's no container anymore. But wait a second, because we still have the image of the container and we still have the previous data. How we can notice that is just type ls, and you will see this KiloLink server. Inside of this folder, there's all your previous data you have saved before. So if you want to collect this data, you can copy and save it somewhere else and rebuild the container. Or if you want to do completely from scratch, you're gonna remove this with this command, rm-rf, and you put KiloLink server. Okay, if you go ls again, you see nothing happen anymore. So you actually delete the container and you basically can rebuild the Docker container once again. And remember, you can always install multiple containers all at the same time with the same machine. So you can have, like, for example, Intercom plus the KiloLink Server Pro all together in the same bundle of, say, VPS. All right, so now let me introduce to you how actually it works for an on-premise server, as I wanted to show you the great features and all the codecs we can support with that. So let's be back on our browser tab, and here you go. So now the P3 is here. You can tell I wanted to connect it to my KiloLink server on-prem. As you can see, I got my P3 here ready, and I just need the authorization code to be copied to connect it to this other server, which makes really important because basically you can have the same device connected to multiple servers, and depending on the situation, and even for fail-safe, you can connect the device to different server accordingly to the situation you're in. So at this point, I'm gonna put the IP address of this new server. And as far everything is pretty basics, and I don't change any of the ports, I just put the authorization code and click on bonding. And you will see, here we got our P3. So now you can check, this is a KiloLink Server Pro. Is basically running onto a single computer machine under a virtual environment. So let me show you this. Okay, this is the virtual machine, which is running over the hypervisor of Windows 11 Pro, which is Hyper-V. So basically it's a Linux instance. Whatever I show you before into the cloud can be installed into Windows, Linux, Mac, whatever you want. So basically, as you can tell, it's really not even CPU demanding, it's just 5%. This servers can run into something as small as a Raspberry Pi, just to take you with the confidence that you can have really small servers running all our software technology. All right. So basically speaking, this server is running onto a physical computer now. And you can tell I connected the P3 Mini, the P3, and the D350. I can connect basically all the Kiloview products all at once, and I can have multiple users that can access those products depending on the situation. For example, if we go into the user management, you can tell there's a user list and a user group. So what I can do basically is create multiple users and multiple user groups that can be allowed to see and manage some of the device or not. Depending on your building infrastructure, maybe you need a lot of users that has to manage some of the device but not touching something else. You can do that with the KiloLink Server Pro, and this is really cool. So if we go back, let's have a look first, for example, in the P3 Mini interface. Okay, this is the local area network web UI. As you can tell, on the top left, we got the preview. With the preview, we can decide with a small icon to have just some frames or a full video preview, and you can see what's actually being ingested into the encoder. We can have our saves areas, we can have our center cross, our view meter for monitoring the audio, and our PTZ control, because our P3 and P3 Mini can also control PTZ camera over Visca or a serial controller over USB. We have also OSD, so we can add stuff like tiles on times and sentence and text. We can flip the image and mirror the image, and we can also record through USB. So basically you can use one of the USB ports to connect USB thumb drive or SSD and still continue recording while you're streaming to the KiloLink server. Underneath, we have seen the part with the bonding, where we decide what connection to use and how to connect to the server. On the bottom right here, you see our connection status and our ISP providers connection for each of the SIM modules, the Ethernet, the Wi-Fi, and our bonding status. When we are live, we are connected basically. On the video source, for example, in the P3 Mini, you can see I can choose in between HDMI or SDI. And on the cogwheel here, we can decide H.264, H.265 and various profile. We can scale the signal. We can decide whether to go black and white or color, frame rate, CPR, bitrate, and GOP size, all the necessary parameters to stream to your favorite platform or even P2P with our decoding series. We have our audio source tab. So basically we can decide whether to have HDMI, SDI, or line-in input. And for the baseband connection, we have the possibility to get up to 4 channels. Both P3 and P3 minis will now support 4 channels audio, both HDMI and SDI. So you'll be able to carry, for example, the Super MOOCs with the 4 channels, and where the 3 and 4 are international sound. Especially this comes really handy for sports events, for example. And you can have this. On the record tab, we have the device. So if I plug in a USB stick, I can record directly into the unit. And I can also decide whether the format is MPEG-4 or MOV, and also record through unlimited size, or you can check disk policy and change the prefix name. Over the settings, we got all the other settings, of course. So network settings, here we see all our SIM modules and connection, and we can put APN and monitoring the IP address, password, PIN code, and something like that. And as I mentioned before, also for PTZ settings, for example, if we have a PTZ controlled in the same local area network, we can use network or serial adapter to basically connect a PTZ, which is maybe old and doesn't work within the newer standard technology, but we can use the PTZ controller in the preview windows to move the camera if we need to. And this will happen through bonding also, so this is really cool feature. All right. So now, basically, we have connected this into our server, right? Let's have a look on it. So once the encoder is connected to the server, you will control the encoder itself completely from the server. You don't even need to have the physical access to the local area network for the encoder. So basically, click on the P3 Mini, all right? And I just click on the first preview thumbnail. You will see I'm seeing the preview I'm sending to the P3 Mini at the moment. We have our buffer size, and here on the bottom we got all the streaming protocol. We can add multiple stream at the same time. But let me remove this so we start like a fresh kind of tutorial, of course. In the Add Streaming tab, you can tell we have multiple codecs. So first we have RTMP or RTMPS. So if you go to YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, whatever your favorite platform is, you can directly transcode what's the bonding signal to the server directly to those platforms. Okay. Then we have RTSP, RTP, HLS, SRT, TS, UDP, and as I mentioned before, we also have NDI HX. This is the first time ever some brand manufacturer will introduce NDI HX into the game. So this is really interesting because if you don't want to transcode back to baseband, you can have IP over IP solution. I will show you this in a second. So for this example, I want to show you how easy it is to connect, for example, our P solutions with our decoder series, okay? Let's pretend we're gonna use SRT, which is the best broadcast standards out of there. All right, I will call this P3 Mini, and the listener port, I will use listener because, as you might notice, there's a lots of listener ports because the server will act as a sort of SRT gateway, SRT and RTMP gateway. So all the open ports you can use, you only have to remember the IP address of the server itself. I'm gonna put some latency, all right? I'm gonna press OK. So basically speaking, from now on, and sorry, this is, you can see much better, this is the button. So when you see red, it means that actually it's streaming. When I clicked, you can see these small play blue buttons, basically is now stopped. So if I stream this out, I have a handy copy button in here. Let me open the D350 now. So I have my D350. Let's remove these ones because I had already done that, but I want to show you how to configure this. So we're gonna select SRT, of course, and we're gonna call it, for example, P3 Mini. This time we're gonna use color, of course, because the server is the listener in this scenario. In the IP address, I'm gonna put the IP address of the server, okay? And I'm gonna copy the ports we're gonna use in here. And now we have also some advanced settings like play cache and all those stuff. We can also synchronize and desynchronize the audio if we need to. We press OK. And now, basically, we have settled our stream to be ingested in the D350. I simply put it into the preview area. Once you put into the preview area, you see from yellow, it goes blue, and then it goes green. So basically, we have established this handshake in between the KiloLink server and the decoder. Okay, so watch out. We have connected the KiloLink server stream to the decoder, not the two pieces like encoder and decoder at the same time, but we were using only the software technology to allow us to make this. And this is really crazy because the KiloLink Server Pro can actually produce up to 8 streams for each bonding biopack. So you can recast that stream up to 8 times, and that's really cool, okay? And this time we are using, of course, SRT. Let's try something else, shall we? So let's try to use, for example, YouTube. Let's go to YouTube and send RTMP directly. Why not? So I'm gonna copy the stream URL from YouTube. Let's go back to our server, add stream service, and in the streaming address, I will set the YouTube one. For name, I'm gonna put YouTube. Remember, into the RTMP settings, remember not to forget the / in between the URL and the stream key. Okay, so I put the / now, go back to YouTube, and copy my stream key. Once I've copied my stream key, I can paste it into the KiloLink Server Pro, and here we go. So you see I've created the RTMP stream, and if we go back to YouTube, there you go. We're streaming directly from our server to our favorite RTMP platform. And we can do this multiple times. As I said, you can have like 8 streams at the same time, which is really convenient. So you don't need any third-party software to actually allows you to have multiple streams in multiple codec formats. This is really cool. But as I mentioned, probably speaking, one of the best thing we have introduced into KiloLink Server Pro is the NDI HX transcoding. So let me show you this in depth because it's really interesting. I'm gonna stop the YouTube for now, and I'm gonna click on the P3 Mini. And we have the ad stream and the protocol. We can select NDI HX. But let me tell you something first. So basically speaking, just to keep it in context, our bonding belt pack using our UDP technology to send the stream to our server. So it's really, really close to what the NDI workflow is in the local area network. When you use NDI HX transcoding, basically the latency is really low because we don't need to basically encode 2 times, but just insert the NDI metadata in our KiloLink Server Pro in order to create an NDI HX stream. So we select NDI HX, And for this specific, I'm gonna P3 mini, okay? And the channel name also P3 mini. And sorry, I got, probably I've saved the other stream again. Let me check this. Okay. Let's just mini. Okay. There you go. Okay, so I got my NDI HX streaming ready. I want to show you this in the physical server first, okay? So if I open the server, and this is the physical one, I can open Studio Monitor, basically, and grab, you see, the feed coming directly from the server itself. So I don't involve any transcoding with baseband. It's directly over NDI HX. So you can tell this virtual machine is now producing this NDI HX. But what does this mean? You can use in software like Vector TriCaster, vMix, OBS, Wirecast, you name it. Basically, you can have a complete IP over IP remote production into one single click. Let me show you this into this computer I'm using to record the webinar though. So let's close this window and let me show you this. You should see my vMix project here. So basically speaking, if we go into add input and we go to NDI, as far as this computer actually is in the same local area network of my server, what I need to do is just clicking on the KiloLink name up in here and press OK. You notice I got the streaming. Let me remove the audio first. I got the streaming that is coming directly from the KiloLink server. And let me show you this in real workflow. So the left channel is the video that being played, and you can tell latency wise it's really low latency. It's under 1 second, and remember I just put a little bit of latency after all to recording this and stream this. So in between something reasonably lower than 1 second, we have the signal goes back and forth using the bonding technology. This is really amazing because you can have, of course, multiple devices at the same time. You can mix and match things like P3, P3 mini, all at the same time. And this is really cool because the NTP server on the KiloLink server itself will synchronize all the signals together. So that being said, let me show you also the two side-by-side, like SRT and NDI HX at the same time on our D350, for example. Okay, let me show you the browser again. And I got that D350, okay? It's still decoding our SRT feed. But as far as the D350 is on the same local area network on my server, simply speaking, I can click on Discover, and you will see KiloLink Mini is here. So we can grab that signal, the same signal we had before, and we can put in here and maybe use the output. I've created a special tab with both SRT and NDI HX to show you the reasonable super low latency. Let me go back into vMix first. So we back in vMix. Let me remove this for a second. And I'm gonna grab this signal through my decklink card. And you can notice, basically speaking, this is our signal, okay? Sorry for the loop. So basically on the right side, we got SRT, and on the right side, we have the NDI HX. And you can notice it's really, really low latency after all, less than 1 second with the original source. NDI HX is practically a little bit lower latency, but you choose You choose what you want to use, both hybrid technology with baseband mixer or IP over IP. It's up to you, and you can use this easily. So let me be back on the browser again, and I want also to show you how easy it is to connect our products to our Kiloview Intercom Server Pro, for example. You see I got the access through HTTPS. On the top of the web UI, we have this little microphone, and you can tell I'm connected to the talk server. So as I mentioned before, we can stack together multiple Docker containers. So in this computer, I'm running both the KiloLink Server Pro and the Kiloview Intercom server in the same virtual machine. So I just have one machine that has multiple tasks at the same time. So the P3 Mini, the P3 and our D350 are both connected to the same Intercom server, which is running the KiloLink the KiloLink Server Pro. So if we go into the Intercom server here, you see I've got pretty much the same settings we have used for KiloLink Server Pro, and I've connected all my devices. Into the call tab, we can create multiple calls. In this specific one I've just created before, you can tell this is the admin one is the one you can use with a computer, tablet, phone, whatever is your terminal you use for your director, for example. And all the others are the products connected to it. Into the managing tab, we can decide whether or not addressing one device or another to a specific group chat. Okay. And if we go into the public channel, we can also mute and unmute each of the devices, change the volume and stuff like that. In order to talk, for example, it's really simple. You just enable the devices to talk each other's, or the director, for example. Okay, so basically you just need to hook it up a USB headset to your device, whether it's an encoder or decoder, and you start the party line communication right away. Super, super easy to do. So this is pretty much, I think I face lots of the elements I want to show you for this webinar. Of course, will leave some space for the Q&A session. But before I stop in here, let me show you something, which is our special promotion till December 31st. And it's this following. So we have the exclusive promotion here. Basically, you can save up a bunch of money on buying P3 or P3 Mini. Especially for the P3, for example, you can save up to $298. When you buy a P3 with two 5G modems, you get 2 additional 4G modems for free. Or if you buy the P3 with 3 4G modems, the 4th one comes for free. If you get the P3 Mini, you will have a free Keys Pro license. So you get the intercom for free, totally for free, for $199. And I remind you, this is just one-time payment. There's no monthly fee. So once you pay for the license, you don't have to renew it or stuff like that. You can also porting that to a different VPS if you need to. Just call our R&D. It will be more pleasant. That helps you out with that. You also have an exclusive 30-day trial. So basically, Kiloview is allowing you to use their own server to test your equipment for free. You don't have to deploy as soon as you got your bonding backpack. So your distributor or your reseller will give you access to our servers right away. So you just can test it out for 30 days completely for free. So you can test and check everything is fine and everything is good for you, and actually understand really in depth how to use our products. You have a special 15% discount over our decoder series on the D350 and our D350 for the Cradle series, up to $105 of actually coupon for that. And this is really good and crazy, I would say, because you have a 30-day risk-free guarantee. So we give you 30 days to test your equipment with a P3 decoder and KiloLink Intercom, KiloLink Server Pro, and whether you are satisfied or not, you can decide to take your bonding backpack or not. But we are really pretty sure that you will join us into this Kiloview family and use our new P3 series with ease after we show all these great benefits you can have with our products. So far, so good. I would see if we have some question. Let me check that if I can answer some of those. Okay, I will see. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see. This question is pretty good. They're asking for if we can use the server running on ARM processing or over x86. Well, you can use definitely also on ARM processing computers. As I said before, basically you can use this onto something as small as a Raspberry Pi or every single slot motherboard computer. You can test what you have in your house or your warehouse, of course. It depending on how many transcoding, especially for NDI HX, I would say that it depending how much power you need. So be aware that if you need to transcode multiple signal at the same time, maybe x86 platform is more indicated. So let me see. What setting helping under very bad connection? Okay, I would rather say, especially for bonding technology, which is something not lots of customers and technicians actually get in first place, is no matter how many connections you have, but how good the signal is on those connections actually. So the thing is, if you know you have really limited networking capability, it's better you lower down your signal, especially if you are in some restricted area where your ISP provider really is not that good. You can decide rather to have a lower bit rate, of course, or lower the resolution. Sometimes it even helps. So you know you have to consider it's better to have, for example, a 2.5 to 3 megabit per second 720p feed than having a 6 megabit per second 1080p feed, which is really bad. So consider on the situation, I would rather say enable a variable bit rate, and specifically if you have time to test, understand what the best ISP provider you can have on that special venue you use the bonding backpack, or provide yourself with many options as possible, some IoT cards or different ISP provider to check what's the best solution under lower network coverage. Let me see. If we have something more. Can I add Starlink to P3? Yes, definitely. Basically P3 with the Ethernet jack and a Wi-Fi access point insert as a bonding connection overall. You can install and use whatever network you have. There's no problem with that. So you can also basically use like bonding routers on the same Ethernet jack of the P3 if you will to. It doesn't matter, it will treat every single connection as a physical connection, so you can mix and match stuff like Starlink for sure. So let me see. Will you release KiloLink Server Pro Docker image for ARM64? As I said before, basically whatever works with Docker, you can install even on ARM CPU with ease. There's a few, of course, a few distro that works on ARM. A lot of Linux distro actually works on ARM, and if you have OS X, you can still use Docker container, Docker engine for Mac OS X, no problem. How to synchronize multiple devices? At the moment being, the server is synchronized with an NTP server. So rather to use itself as an NTP server, it can use an external NTP server if you configure manually. But the idea is, especially for something like NDI HX, it can synchronize all the various bonding backpack come across the server into one single time refresh rate of the NTP server. So basically, we can guarantee like 100% frame by frame timestamps at the moment, but it's pretty much sure that your range is in the neighborhood of 1 frame or even less than 1 frame, depending on where the bonding backpack are and how your connection strength is. If you come from the same networking, for example, or the same venue, it's rather probable everything is still in sync right away with the NTP server. Lots of question about the ARM Docker image. There's no actually image for that. It's just the really first procedure I show you is exactly the same. As I said, I've skipped just the part with the Docker installation, but you can find everything on our website. Basically, you have just to install a Docker container or alternatives like Podman, for example. And once you install the Docker engine, the script we go through really simple. It's just a few commands, as I showed you before. It's some commands and just enter, and you're really able to deploy the container in minutes. Let me see if we have something more. Can you install server on AVS services? Sure. What I've also skipped in the first part, of course, is the port forwarding policies, but everything is well documented in our manuals. Some ISP provider for VPS will give you servers which doesn't require at all for port forwarding. Maybe it's like every port is open, but if you want to use Amazon or Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure, you name it, basically you can install this on every cloud platform of your choosing. Let me see if we have some others question. Let's see. I think that's it. Okay, last question, really interesting. Will the KISS server be separate software or will be integrated in the KiloLink Server Pro in the future? Well, I would say, probably speaking, yes, we're gonna try to integrate this into an overall rich Docker container. The idea is that probably we've been able to get everything all together and simplify always in the best way possible the experience for our customers. For the KiloLink Server Pro for now is just management and bonding for our P series and all the other products. But for the Intercom specifically, you can use our products as a terminal and also computers, tablets, and phones. So it's kind of hybrid technology at the moment. That's why they comes with 2 separate installation. But definitely we're gonna think about it, and we're gonna drop this to our R&D to see what we can do in the future. Okay, guys. I'm hoping I'm not skip any of your questions. So I would say, like, really thank you to have joined me into this webinar, and I hope you like this explanation on our P series, and be sure to stay tuned for more of those kind of webinars to come, and really much appreciate all your time. For any technical support, you can always reach us at support@kiloview.com and send us an email to get your your question be answered. And or if you want to check all our products, you can always go to www.kiloview.com. So thank you guys once again. Have a good time. See you in the next one.